Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my 1996 E36 M3. So right now, as you can see, it's in winter storage. I'm in this barn and it's at my cousin's house, and he was kind enough to let me kind of use it for the winter and, I don't know, make it like a little bit of my own. And this is where I'm going to be doing most of my work. I have a lot to do this winter, as I kind of glossed over last video, but this video is kind of going to be me going over my car, what I've done to it so far, and what I'm going to be doing over the winter. So let's kick this off with kind of a backstory. So I've owned this car for about 2 years now. I got it in September of 2020, so a little over 2 years. I bought it with 167,000 miles on it, and as it sits right now, it has 206,000 miles on it. It's been my daily driver for the most part for the past 2 years. I've had a car in the winter, like half of each winter kind of thing, and I just bought an E91 325 Xi. So right now this car kind of just sits, and come springtime, you know, I'm going to be driving this car a lot more. So I'm using this downtime to do a lot to this car, but right now I'm going to get into what I have already done to it. So let me start off in the front here. First things first, the headlights, I got these with the car. These are Depot glass headlights. They have that French yellow inner bulb. I actually like them. The car came with ambers on them, so I threw clears on them because the orange and yellow kind of clashed, so I like the clears. Now, everyone's saying that I should be running ambers. I wish, you know, if I had some ZKWs or something, I would, but I think the orange and yellow just don't agree with each other, so I took my OEM ambers off. And so down here, I have fog light covers, so no fog lights, but I do have a light bar. So this intake is from my good friend Amir. He actually 3D designed those fog light intakes and 3D printed them, and now is manufacturing them. So I'll link his Instagram down below. Just message him to grab one. They're actually really nice. So I painted both my covers the same color, so they matched, and I really like them. And as far as the light bar goes, that is actually hooked up to my fog light button. It really helps late at night on those drives, you know, on those roads with no street lights or anything. You can kind of see, and it makes it look like daytime, except there's no cars on the road. So I really like driving at night, especially with that. And here I have a Reiger front lip mounted to an OEM front lip. I got this off CA Tuned, and I really like it. This is my favorite style lip I've put on the car so far, but it is cracked. So I've been trying to find a new one, but the website I got them off of, and it is a genuine Reiger, the website I got it off of no longer sells them. Moving on to the side of the car, I have OG TE37s. They're 17x8 ET38 squared. So the previous owner of these wheels, Steve, he has a fifth wheel that I didn't buy from him, but the fifth wheel has the sticker on it from Rays when they were originally produced, and it has the 1997 stamping on it, which is pretty cool. And they're originally silver, they're originally 5x120, and I think I found a great set of wheels. So they're super light, especially compared to the Contours. After being on Contours for 2 years and putting these on, it was a night and day difference with the unsprung weight. So I love these wheels, and I think it's going to be a long time before I get a new set of anything else. So moving on to the back, not much going on back here. I just have the Euro taillights, and I have the UC Corsa. So for the longest time, I had just the cat back on the car, but recently I cut the cats out of the OEM mid pipe and welded this pipe in there. So no headers, just no cats, and I think it sounds really nice. It pops a flame on upshift sometimes if I'm shifting pretty high, which is cool if the car is hot enough. But other than that, I think it's a really nice sound, and I'll put a sound clip in here for you. So I'm currently running KWV1 suspension, and it's a good choice. I put them on 1.5 years ago, and all I really cared about then was height adjustment, but you know, looking back on it, I kind of wish I did get a good set of suspension, along with doing my bushings and everything with the suspension. That's obviously come back to bite me because I'm doing them this winter. So moving into the interior of the car, this car was actually originally Mulberry. So it was a Storlon Mulberry Comfort. My driver's seat was 2 colors, the trim was wood, and I just didn't like it. So thankfully Mulberry actually comes with black dash and black carpet, so all I had to change were the seats, trim, shift knob, this trim, and all the door cards. The door cards weren't easy, and the rear seats actually were. I got them for about 200 bucks. They're sport seats, so they have the M stripe, and all the trim I found on eBay. Shift knobs from FCP. eBay handle I found out of a part out, and I did some new boots as well. I redid my headliner at home. I think it came out pretty nice. Mine was sagging pretty bad. Just went to a local fabric store, found some nice fabric that kind of matched the OEM, and I wrapped it. I have the Rare E36 parts cup holder. The 3D printed design actually works really well. It holds a lot of things for me. And you get this extra space back here. I have a Continental head unit, which allows me to do Bluetooth. Momo Monte Carlo, and of course the Recaro SPGs. I really like these seats. I think they're super comfortable. I love the material, and they hold you in very, very nicely. Moving into the engine bay, I guess I can just talk about maintenance. So I have a Mishimoto expansion tank. Don't buy this. It sucks, especially to bleed. This is not a bleeder screw, it's actually a dipstick. So if you try to crack it, no air comes out. So it's like impossible to bleed. New fan shroud, aluminum CFSF radiator, and a Spal E fan controlled by a temp sensor in the radiator. Dining cold air intake, which sounds incredible. And this is what I was talking about with the fog light. It reaches down in there, pretty much all the way down to right about here. And that's where the air goes. So that's really about it for all I've done to the car. More engine stuff, I guess you could say, was some cooling trials and tribulations this year, but that's pretty much with any E36 ever. So now let's talk about what I'm going to be doing to it this winter. So I guess we can start in here. I'm going to be getting rid of my washer fluid reservoir because I hate looking at it, and possibly my secondary air pump. So I hate looking at that, and this big hose, I think it's pretty pointless, and I don't have cats, so it doesn't really matter to me anyway. I also need to do a new PCV system. I burn about a quart of oil per 3,000 miles, so every time I change my oil, only 5.5 quarts come out when I put 6.5 in originally, and I get some pretty nasty lift tick because of that, especially after driving hard. And I've thought about doing a baffled oil pan, but that requires some welding and stuff like that, and that stuff I can't really do, and I don't really need to. It's not a track car. So, you know, I drive pretty hard on back roads, but I don't think that suffices for a baffled oil pan, especially for the price. So I'm gonna see what the PCV system can do, and if that doesn't fix my issues, then I have bigger issues. Let's talk about the front bumper. So this front bumper is Starry Night. So I just turned those lights off so maybe you could see, but my nose panel is hammered with chips, and front bumper is right there with it. Now I know it's not a perfect show car. It also has 200,000 miles on it, but I hate looking at it. This car was fully paint corrected by myself and Ben and Connor, my coworkers over at CT Auto Pros, and you know, I love having perfect paint. And my hood looks, you know, pretty bad too, but the front bumper I've been considering heavily because of those gouges in front of the vent, and overall I think I would benefit from it. I could lay some PPF over it and call it a day. Now this is what really bothers me. I never uploaded the video, but if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen me talking about doing my alternator and aux fan and things like that. I actually hit like a big fridge magnet, like a magnet that they put on the side of the vans. It was on the highway. My buddy kicked it up under his car, and I ran straight into it, and it cracked the entire front grille, cracked my aux fan, broke it, and the grille hasn't been the same since. Moving on to the window trim. So as you can see, this trim is missing a lot of black, and it's rusted everywhere. So I bought the car kind of with this stuff, but over time, you know, pressure washing it and air drying it and stuff, it just flicks all this stuff up and it chips right off and rusts because it's bare metal underneath. So I'm going to be doing all new window trim, even on top of the doors as well. I can't stand looking at this any longer. I can't take pictures of this side of the car because it's so bad. The other side isn't too awful, but just gonna do both of them and call it a day. I will be getting some new stickers for these. They look pretty bare and they look like Rotas without stickers. I'm doing subframe and diff bushings, both ADA. I'm doing new front control arms and front control arm bushings with new mounts. That's also going to be ADA trans mounts. I have a short shift kit in there already. I forgot to mention it is a Salt Grain Racing short shift kit. It's very nice, very short. It's actually a chassis mounted short shift kit, but OEM ride height. So it's all CNC'd aluminum. It's very, very nice quality. I have R-Tab already. Mine are Delrin. I don't know what my diff and subframes are right now. If they're stock, I'm doing ADA. If they're not, well, I'll find out because I'm dropping the subframe. So I'm also doing new sway bars. I'm doing Turner sway bars, new bushings, and new mounts. And hopefully that should kind of support the KWV1s. Now, after all that stuff, if the KWV1s still feel like shit, which they are starting to, I'm going to upgrade the suspension. But right now I'm trying to dance around all that because I was that guy that did not do bushings when he did the suspension. I do want to do some new side mounts and new sliders. Here's what they look like now. The side mounts look okay, but they could be updated. They look spray painted, and the slider has seen better days. So I want to get an inside slider so it's not on the outside there, and I also want to get vac mounts because vac mounts correct the off-center nature of E36s and bucket seats, and I think that just about does it. So I'm about to prep it for winter storage. I'm about to put it on some jack stands and take the wheels off and let it hang.